Your name, I think, as far as Canada goes, it's one of the, it comes with a certain heaviness. It's a name that I remember from the 90s, and it's a name that when you drop it, it doesn't matter, what circle you're in, particularly in reggae and hip-hop circles. You say King Turbo and everybody's like, oh, I remember. So talk to me about King Turbo and how was King Turbo born?
How was it born? King Turbo was formed in 1989. It started at my birthday party, actually. Prior to that, I was a DJ. I mean, I was playing since grade 5. Grade 5, I used to have a preschool, one of those preschool turntables. So I used to listen to Malcolm McLaren, Grandmaster Flash, Cutmaster DC, those guys back in the day. And I used to try to emulate scratching on my preschool turntable. So I started from there, actually. So that was like grade 5. And then I started doing school dances in grade 7, 8. And then when I eventually went to high school, I started to do team up with another group, and then we started from there. But I've been always listening to reggae music as Caribbean background and all that. So it started from grade 5, but the birth of King Turbo was 1989, October 21st.
You remember the day? Oh, because you said it was a birthday party, yeah. So yeah, that makes sense. You mentioned that it was the DJing, though, that actually influenced you. And when we think of reggae music and DJing, I think as far as the DJ is concerned, reggae has also evolved in that sense. Because early out, you said you were scratching. That kind of stuff wasn't really happening in reggae. And so the art form of DJing has changed, but you were influenced by DJs who were actually, scratching hip-hop. How involved were you in that scene?
I was quite involved. I mean, I was a youth, ear to the street, listening to community radio stations. I mean, I was going to New York all the time, so I knew what was happening. Hip-hop spoke to my generation, so based on that, obviously the influence with the DMC battles and all that kind of stuff, Cash Money, Cutmaster DC, I was involved in all that. And then listening to the battles on the community radio station that the Fantastic Voyage program used to do with the sound crews from around Toronto. That got me involved, but living in Canada as a youth, you are influenced with a lot of great music, not just reggae music. I mean, I was listening to the AM Top 40, that sort of thing back in the day. Reggae music, obviously, with my family. But at that point, hip-hop spoke to me and my generation, so I was quite involved. Yeah.
So when King Turbo was born in '89, it's reggae that you started playing, right? It was reggae that Turbo started with, or was it a mix and a blend?
Essentially, it was reggae music that we started with first, but developed into playing different things because, again, it's our generation. Our generation listened to hip hop and R&B. When we used to go to the dances prior to actually building the sound, it was like the older generation, so they played the disco and all that kind of stuff, which was cool because I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really, you weren't getting hip hop EPMD or that sort of thing. Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, you weren't getting that. So if we had an opportunity to play it, I would play it because I like that kind of music.
Yeah. And for King Turbo, I guess in a sense, you were also, you stand out, and I think you have the reputation that you have because when you came on the scene, you did things a little differently. And as far as just, the music and the presentation of the music, the 90s would be sort of the golden era, I think, not just for the sound system, but for music in a way. People sort of embraced that time period, and is exactly what you're talking about generationally. What was that like for you now? Because I mean, it's years later now, and you look back on that time. Talk to me about some of that growth and that period, and what was it like for you? Because I'm sure, you know, whenever you're pushing the envelope, and I think that's what King Turbo was doing at that time, as much as you were, you know, growing and developing the sound, you were pushing the envelope because you weren't doing things that other sounds were doing.
I'll tell you a story. We had a competition to play a school dance. We had about 10 DJs. The winner gets to play the end of the year school dance. So we're in the competition and we're battling until it was the last 2 DJs. Mm-hmm. And so one of the songs that was out at that time was Color Me Bad, I Wanna Sex You Up. The movie just came out, and it was a hot song. It wasn't yet out there, but it was a hot song in my opinion. So what I did was I drove around Scarborough until I found that particular 12-inch. And that 12-inch won us the school dance. And we were competing against Red Flame for the school dance. And I remember after winning with that song, which is not a reggae song, one of the members from Red Flame came to me and said, reggae sounds don't play R&B. I said, really? Well, more than a reggae sound, we're representing our generation, and our generation listens to everything. So I didn't want to be stereotyped. Okay, reggae sounds play this and they don't play that. I wanted to play everything because that's what we all listen to. When I was younger, I remember I used to build cassettes with old Foundation songs, and then I would, you know, my friends and us, we used to roll around in my friend's car, and I would pop in my cassette, and they're like, this is garbage, this is old, and all this kind of stuff. And I said, well, this is the foundation of the music. And so eventually they started to learn to love the foundation. And to me, it's important to not only respect where the music has been, but based on respecting where the music has been, you can possibly see where it can go. If you do not understand where the music has been and what has been done, then you don't know what needs to be done, right? And so I found that it's important to lead in the sense of developing styles, implementing different types of music. We push the envelope in that sense. It's a style of juggling. When we started, the juggling was kind of like you play the song from the beginning and then it goes to the end, and then the needles start bucking on the label, and then they cross over to the next song. But we started that quick pace juggling where you scratch, wheel up, play the next song. Also, when we started, there was this thing with, you have your sound system and you have your DJs, about 10, 15 DJs on the sound, DJing as you flip over the rhythm. And so we stopped that, right? And we got a lot of slack for that, but what that did was it built more energy and vibes on a consistent basis in terms of a party. And then soon after that, everyone stopped putting the DJs on the sound and just played, juggle soca, juggle hip hop, R&B, reggae, rock music. I was put any and everything classical. When I was in from grade 3, I remember when I first got my library card, I used to go into the music section and read on the history of rock and roll. So from there, I studied and try to intake knowledge on rock music because it has some sort of influence on reggae and vice versa, right? So clubs were the first reggae sound to really play downtown in the clubs. Prior to that, they didn't have reggae sounds in clubs. So now you look at the club scene in Toronto, and it's blown up. So Yeah, so a lot of different things in terms of development.
Radio development and the sound of radio and how shows are programmed.
Right.
Let's talk about the morning ride and the early morning ride.
Well, when I grew up on community radio station. I mean, David Kingston, fantastic voyage program. I used to tune in to get the latest on everything, right? So it was only natural for us to make that transition to radio. When Ron Nelson took over David Kingston's show, he didn't have a full reggae catalog, so what we did, Ron actually called us and we used to play Reggae Mania for the, I guess, first 5-6 months. It was us playing the music while Ron is talking. Yeah. And then you got to a point where Ron was able to do it on his own, and then, you know, and plus other DJs were like, oh, Ron, how come you have King Turbo on the radio? We want to come on too, and that sort of thing. So it's all good because you got to share the wealth. Everyone should gain experience. I'm not about, you know, just me alone, because if it's just us alone, the industry will not develop the way it should. It'd be lopsided. And for a certain time period, it was lopsided. You know what I mean? So I think because of that, we got a lot of, I guess, fight, if you want to call it, from the other sounds. But you know, eventually, everyone got an even keel, and everyone's doing their own thing. I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, no, that's okay. I mean, it's all part of it, right? I mean, a lot of people probably had no idea that, you know, you did that you played with Ron Nelson, and that, you know, you were there, you know, in the beginning. But then how did you get to CIUT? Because Morning Ride was born on CIUT.
Yeah, actually, we did the Side 3 show. Blue, our friend, who's passed away now, got specs a gig on the Side 3 show, which was during the night. And then from there, we kind of developed into our own thing. We brought the dancehall element to the radio. So before that, you didn't get sound effects, samplers and all that kind of stuff, the wheeling and like actual, as if you were in the club or the dancehall. You see me? But yeah, so reverb, we brought the dancehall right into the radio, and then after that you started hearing more sound effects and all that kind of stuff. But Mocha Dean from CIUT gave us the opportunity to be on the Morning Ride. We didn't know how it was gonna go because we're dancehall club, so playing in the morning time, it was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it worked out. We started from 97, and we're still here.
And that's what I mean. I think it's a great piece of, you know, radio history, because it really did change the sound of radio. And when I talk about branding, I think it was brilliantly branded, because to this day, you know, a lot of people try to brand and don't really have it. But the Morning Ride is, you know, even people who, you know, used to listen back to the day or haven't, you know, they, as soon as you mention Morning Ride, you'll get a beep from anybody, which is, you know, that's brilliant marketing right there. And that's really what we're branding, you know, that shows the development of branding. So you know, that's something to be recognized. And, you know, I think that King Turbo on a whole should be proud of that, because the founding members of the Morning Ride are King Turbo, and essentially, as you said, you know, opened the doors, you know, for so many other things. And with music, what are some of the things that King Turbo wants to do? Because I know you get sort of boxed into either being a juggling sound, a sound, you know, sound killers, and, you know, and there's this constant battle for the sound. What is it that you've been trying to do, or you want to do? Where do you want to take King Turbo that you may have not necessarily yet done?
To touch upon the branding, I mean, it took about 2-3 years of research to really understand that branding is important. In terms of marketing your sound, like, I mean, and I will answer that question. I remember looking at flyers at that time period. Carla Bana was the flyer person. What I've noticed that each flyer, every sound name was the same lettering, that sort of thing. So what I essentially did was got a logo made. So when you put us on a flyer, you're gonna see it once you recognize our logo, and then you get everyone else, right? So it doesn't matter how far you are from that poster on the bus stop or whatever the case is. You would see our lettering or logo different from everyone else, and then from there, everyone else started to gain a logo in terms of branding and marketing. In terms of where we want to be, I think for me, it is important to stay relevant. It's always important to push the envelope. I think I would like to see the sound playing in front of like tens and thousands of people like deadmau5. In terms of reggae format and incorporating other genres of music. So we're trying to develop strategies to get to that point. There's obviously new people on the sound, so it's a matter of incorporating each other's ideas and talents and with a business standpoint, and try to obtain those things. Like we have the studio, we've done remixes, like we've done mix CDs for Virgin, for DP. So right now is just bringing the reggae music, our brand, King Turbo, bringing it more global. Because I don't want to be branded as a clash sound or as a juggling sound or as this and that. I just want to be known as a musician, but with turntables. The best feeling you can have is someone saying to you, a song that you played brought back memories, or it had them think about something or see something differently. It's not about just putting on a song and